Thank you for tuning in. New SEC podcast. We're talking LSU Tigers football. A lot of hype around the team this year. It's, the off season, month before the season starts roughly. It is pretty much the hype time of the year. It's the hype season. Yeah. It's all hype. So for LSU, we want to know, and we're going to talk about here, what stops LSU from making the playoffs in 2025? The expectation for the team, and I think for Brian Kelly, since the day he walked through that door and mentioned his family, was to make the playoffs. And so this year, I don't think there's really any excuse for them to not make the playoffs. So I want to know what stops LSU from making the playoffs this year.
Yeah. And I'll say it here to start, and I'll expand on it later. What stops them from making the playoffs, first and foremost, is the road. Road games will stop them from making the playoffs, and I can expand more on that in a little bit. But I'll start off by saying that I think the hype around this team and the expectations around this team are coming from a good place. I think where they think that this year they can make the playoffs is completely warranted. The offense is going to be a killer. No doubt in my mind about it. I think that Garrett Nussmeier is the number one quarterback in the SEC right now. I think he's above Lenore Sellers. I don't know why he was number one in the preseason media poll. I know there's a lot of hype there. Not to start a little conflict, but I think he's the best quarterback in the SEC right now. The whole roster on offense is awesome, is great. There's going to be some things that trip them up, but that's going to be the piece that I think would make them in the playoffs as opposed to keeping them out of it. So that's where I feel about them.
Okay. I think and I know we all know that Garrett Nussmeier is going to perform this year. I think similarly to your point, what stops LSU from making the playoffs this year is going to be what this offense can do on the ground. They finished bottom 5 in the conference last year when it came to rushing. Coincidentally, Caden Durham was top 10 in rushing yards, though. They're leading rusher coming back. It's, can they maintain a rushing attack when they have to close games out and to control the pace of the game? That was where this offense last year was one-dimensional, led a lot of times to Nussmeier having to force passes and force turnovers, thereby changing the dynamic of the game.
Yeah.
This year, I think it gets better. I think, with having more weapons around him on when it comes to receiving, bringing Barry and Brown in, having, good guys coming back as well. I think that they will improve the rushing attack. I believe that if they don't improve it, that's going to be a main point that stops them from ultimately getting to the playoffs.
Yeah. You bring Caden Durham back. Dog last year. I know we did our dog of the week. He was one of them 1 week where he went off. 6 touchdowns on the ground, 2 more in the pass game. You bring back Caleb Jackson. He's a little bit more stocky, downhill option. Then they got a freshman coming in, Harlan Berry, 2,000 yards each year of high school, 142 touchdowns, Louisiana Gatorade Player of the Year last year. I think between these 3 guys, you're going to be fine on the ground. I think that a lot of the running issue came down to play calling last year. They were throwing in situations that they didn't need to, especially in the season opener. That was a huge problem.
Right. They gave that game to USC.
Yeah, and they would get in the red zone. They weren't scoring. You got these guys that can run. You bring in 4 or 5-star guys, let them pound the rock. Right. So I think the running will get better. Receiving core is arguably the best in the country. Arguably. You bring back Aaron Anderson, awesome last year. Nick Anderson missed last year at Oklahoma, but he comes in, had a great season in 2023, bringing Barry and Brown. Probably between the 2 Andersons, you might have the best duo in the country. Ohio State maybe competing with Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith. Alabama may be up there with a Ryan Williams, Isaiah Horton, depending on how he pans out. But I think they have some of the best receivers in the country too.
I definitely think they have some of the best receivers in the country, and Nick Anderson cannot underrate his impact joining the team as well. Barry and Brown, if you look at the stats, it doesn't really speak to how good he is, right? There wasn't a lot of opportunities for him to get receptions at Kentucky this past season, but he is a speedster. I think all 3 of those guys in the college football 26 game are over 94 speed. So they're fast, right? They're really, really fast. When you look at the LSU schedule and going on the road, I have them going this season 10-2. The only loss I have for them on the road is against Alabama. Alabama's kind of had their number the past couple seasons. I think the last time that LSU was able to beat Alabama was with Jaden Daniels, if I'm not mistaken, 2 years ago. But the schedule is balanced. First SEC game is Florida. I have them beating Clemson week 1. That's one where you can lose that game if you're an LSU team and still make the playoffs. You win that game. You know my favorite term. It anchors you when it goes going throughout the season to kind of keep you at a good rate when it comes to the top 12 to get into the playoffs. You beat Clemson. You got Louisiana Tech. Then you got Florida. Lost to Florida last year. What are your thoughts on that first 5-game stretch with Clemson, Florida, and Ole Miss?
I'm worried about week 1. I would never bet on LSU week 1 as of late because they've lost 4 last season openers, I believe. So I can't take them going on the road to Clemson and winning that game. I would love to see them do it. I just can't trust them to do it. Clemson's going to be solid this year as well. I think Florida, I like them to win that game. I like them to win the Ole Miss game. So I like that stretch there. Like you said, the Clemson game is only so important if you continue to take care of business in the SEC. You know, if you're not taking care of business in the SEC, you don't find yourself in Atlanta. You need that Clemson win to be your playoff resume builder. Where I'm struggling with this team, it's the road. Running quarterbacks were a problem for them last year, and they're going to face a lot of them this year. Last season, Lenore Sellers, 88 yards, 8.8 per attempt. Marcel Reed, 9 for 62. They gave up 242 yards on the day. I mean, we know what Milroe did to LSU on the road last year. 12 for 185 and 4 touchdowns. Pavia, 6 for 43. They're going to face the same kind of guys this year. They're going to see Lenore Sellers in South Carolina. And they're going to go to Vanderbilt. They're going to go to Oklahoma. John Mateers, he's no bum on the ground. Like he can run as well.
Yeah, I think he had over 700 rushing yards last year. Like he could definitely run it.
And then they got to go to Oklahoma. They got to go to Alabama. They're going to play Marcel Reed again this year. They're going to play Taylor Green. So they're going to have these guys that are going to run again. And unless that improved, which hopefully with the defensive back adjustments that they've made, keeping some guys there, that helps out a lot with that component. I'm worried about the road, and I'm worried about quarterbacks being able to move on the ground.
Yeah, and I mean, you bring up a good point. Like I could see it in some ways. You're an LSU fan. You're like pigeonholed to be in the SEC championship game, and then Oklahoma sitting there at the end of the season, last game of the season on the road, and you just need to win that one, and you're good. And that could be one you drop, right? Your team's kind of exhausted. You pray injuries never happen. That can affect either team, but it is interesting. I mean, Arkansas wasn't an issue for them last year. I think they won that game, pretty handedly, and we don't know. The defense probably isn't gonna be that good for Arkansas. So even if they give a lot of rushing yards, like I'm sure LSU can outscore them. Yeah. But A&M brings back a lot on the ground. We talked about that in our last segment with A&M. Vanderbilt, they're going to Vanderbilt. They won that game last year by 7. So that could be another close game this year. And South Carolina was a close game, right? Obviously there was some questionable calls some people felt, and some things happened, Robbie Ashford played for half the game. But all in all, I'm a believer in this defense improving. I'm a believer in Nussmeier taking that leap, his second year starting. So, but I see where you're coming from, where the road could be what stops them from making the playoffs.
Yeah. And the O-line as well. I mean, the best O-line probably in the country last year, just over 1 sack per game. And if you take away the Florida game where they gave up 7, they really only gave up, a handful. And I think it was 9 on the season, aside from the Florida game where they gave up 7 in that one. They lose 4 guys off the line. They pretty much everyone on the interior is new. The guys they replaced with have some starts under their belt. So there's that, but you're replacing Will Campbell. You're replacing some guys there. The defense should be fine.
Yeah.
I like this LSU team. I don't think 9-3 will get it done for the playoffs if it's anything like last season. So you're going to have to, if you're looking at Clemson, South Carolina, A&M, Alabama, Oklahoma, you're going to have to win 3 of those 5 games.
Yeah.
For this team.
Yeah, and look, like I got them winning 3 of those 5 games. I have them dropping to Florida, and I have them dropping to Alabama. But you look at the key wins. Like I would expect A&M to be ranked. I'd expect South Carolina to be ranked. I got them winning that game. Clemson will be ranked. They're going to pilfer through an easy ACC schedule after losing week 1. So the key is go 10-2 or better. Really.
Yeah. I got them at 9-3. I think the Clemson game will be tough, and then I have them losing to South Carolina and Alabama. I have them taking care of business on the road at Oklahoma, although that could be a swing game. Swap that out with South Carolina as you will. We'll see what happens with this team. Really, it's all speculation. They need to put their eyes on week 1. That's been a big point of contention for them is the first week. So focus one thing at a time, but let us know what you think. If you think this LSU team has a clear shot to the playoffs, if based on the quarterback position, they're good enough to do it, or if you think there's going to be some roadblocks aside from the ones that we talked about. Let us know what you think. As always, subscribe, like, and we'll catch you in the next one.